UFC 329, Volkanovski versus Lopez. I'm going to go through the main card, give my predictions and best bets for each fight, starting with the curtain jerker for the pay-per-view, I guess, numbered event main card. Quillen Salkilld versus Jamie Mullarkey. I'm going to keep this one short, sweet, and to the point. I think Quillen is going to run through him pretty easily. He's coming off a nasty head kick knockout, 10-1. He's basically the next up-and-coming guy, Jamie Mullarkey, on this what would be pay-per-view stage. I'm still figuring out if I want to call it numbered event, main card stage, whatever I want to call it. Either way, getting this big stage against Jamie Mullarkey, huge, massive odds. You could tell even the odds makers are like, yeah, this isn't, we won't say sacrificial lamb because in the UFC, I don't think there's really sacrificial lambs because anybody can get got at any time. But this is one of those that's awfully darn close. So we're going to take Salkilld. We're going to take under 1.5 rounds for the bet as well. I think this one's his opportunity to put on a showcase and get another highlight reel finish, which I think he's going to be pushing for that early. Moving up the card now, Tai Tuivasa taking on Talishans Teixeira. And hard to believe that if history just plays out slightly differently, Tuivasa, if he would have been able to get by Gone, he would have been fighting John Jones for that heavyweight championship a while back. But alas, he is currently on a 5-fight losing streak, 15-8. It's been a rough go for him recently. He still has heavy hands. Talishans Teixeira, rough. That was a rough one. That was supposed to be his showcase moment against Derek Lewis, and it ended up very, very abruptly. Which, if you're watching us for that one, we did pick that. We did pick that one. Listed that on our Twitter page. But I think he's going to bounce back in a big way in this one. I think he's going to get by Tuivasa. We're going to take Talishans Teixeira for the big win. For the bet on this one, I am going to take Talishans Teixeira over 20.5 significant strikes landed is the bet we're going to look at. I think he's going to find I don't think Tuivasa is going to get put away early, so Talison's going to have to put it on him. He's going to have to hit him with a lot of shots, and I think Tuivasa is durable. He could take a lot of shots, so I think that's a safe one to get. Even if Teixeira drops him early, I think it's going to take 20 shots to get Tuivasa out of there unless he stones him, which I don't think is likely. So we're going to take Talishans Teixeira to win and over 20.5 significant strikes. Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Ruffy. Kind of a pick 'em when you look at the odds. Number 9 versus number 14. Ruffy coming off that, we'll say recently I don't want to say fraud check, but that humbling defeat to Benoit Saint Denis and Fiziev. If you take Justin Gaethje out of the mix, he might be right up there in that top 5, but he just keeps running into Justin Gaethje right when he's on the come up. Both times been the favorite too. For this fight, I do really like Mauricio Ruffy. I think he is very, very good. He's incredibly dynamic. I think he learned a lot from that loss to Saint Denis, and I think this is the fight. He's going to use his length, his footwork. Fiziev's such a technically good kickboxer, but we have seen in those fights he can get hit from a distance, you can evade his strikes a lot, which is something I think we're going to see a lot from Ruffy. Ruffy's going to land a lot of his strikes. We're going to see the fancy wheel kicks, the knees, the long punches. We're going to say Ruffy gets the job done. We're going to just take his money line, just the straight money line, since it's basically a pick 'em, but I like Ruffy to get this one done. Next up, moving up the card, Benoit Saint Denis taking on Dan Hooker, number 6 versus number 8. Basically, who's next to crack into that top 5 and put themselves in that title mix? Saint Denis with a shockingly quick and violent win over Beneil Dariush. Did not expect to see Dariush fall like a sack of potatoes that early in the fight, but that does put Saint Denis at, I believe, 4-fight winning streak. Dan Hooker is 3-1 in his last 4, of course, coming right off that loss to Arman in his last fight. A who's list of who he has fought. This one's interesting. So we look at the odds, and they're even shorter here, but minus 350 for Saint Denis and plus 275 for Dan Hooker. Last time Saint Denis was a favorite going into a matchup like this was over Dustin Poirier, and he got caught. Obviously, Dan Hooker's not quite Dustin Poirier, obviously, but I do like Dan Hooker to find a way to get it done. I know he's had some rough ups and downs, but I don't think he's quite washed yet. I don't think he's done. I think this is still a fight he should win. Keep Saint Denis off of him. Don't let him get pushed against the cage. Don't let him get taken down and submitted like we saw Saint Denis do versus Ruffy, as we mentioned earlier, or Dariush. I think Dan Hooker's going to be able to keep the distance, pick his shots, stay on the outside, use a lot of footwork. I think the over for rounds is a safe one, but the bet we're going to take is over 36.5 significant strikes for Dan Hooker. Even in losing efforts, we've seen him really put it on. I don't think Saint Denis is going to be able to immediately hit the takedown and get Dan Hooker down the same way Arman and some of those other guys can. I don't think his explosive takedown offense is at the same level as those guys. So we're going to take Dan Hooker to control a little bit of the distance, land some strikes, over 36.5 significant strikes. If you do like Dan Hooker like I do, those are some good odds to take if you want to take the money line. But we're going to stick with the significant strikes just to be safe. Next up, the main event, Alexander Volkanovski taking on Diego Lopes, the rematch that nobody really wanted and nobody asked for, and it is whatever. But alas, I think this is still a very, very good fight. I do think The odds even show it too. Even coming off the win, Volkanovski minus 150 plus 125. In these lighter divisions, age is a real factor. Volkanovski has taken a lot of damage. He did come off the win over Diego when a lot of people were worried. Maybe he was done. Maybe that was the end after losing to Puria and the loss to Makhachev before that. But this is really tough. Lopez is really good. I would have liked him. I know he'd had the win over Gene Silva in the meantime, but I would have liked maybe one more fight in the meantime. I'd much rather see Volkanovski taking on Lerone Murphy here. Maybe Evloev, if he could quit pulling out of every other dang fight, he would have fought him already, but I digress with that one. This one, Lopez he is a finisher and he's a wild man. He did drop Volkanovski in the fight, but I still have a hard time not picking Volkanovski. He's so technically sound. He's really hard to consistently hit clean. His footwork is great. The way that what does worry me is this being a quick rematch from against Lopez, who he just beat. Not one of those guys like undefeated Earl Murphy, not Evloev. Is it? There's talk about him maybe going up to 55 and seeing if he could maybe test his luck there. So on the back end of his career, that does almost worry me a little bit, but I can't in good conscience not take Alexander Volkanovski. So I'm going to take him. I don't love a lot of the fight odds for this one, a lot of numbers, but when you get Volkanovski at a plus 150 or minus 155, excuse me, you go and take that bet to round out the parlay. And if you do, if you are going for a parlay and you are 4-0 at this point, it does give the opportunity to hedge by betting on the underdog. So that's what we're going to take. In total, the bets combined would be plus 1,589. Remember, bet smarter, not harder. Only bet what you can afford to lose. It's supposed to just be fun. Don't bet anything that you can't afford. Don't be chasing any highs. Just enjoy it. Add a little spice to the card. But this fight, it's a weird fight card, but I do like some of the matchups. Anytime Volkanovski fights is exciting. I'm curious to see if he's still got that extra juice. We saw a little bit of it reinvigorated against Lopez. As he mentioned, it was also to show that those knockouts weren't going to be the end of his story. So I want to see if he's able to continue it or if that was the one-off. And of course, the co-main event, Dan Hooker, Benoit St. Denis, both. I feel like however that fight goes, you could see I feel like Dan Hooker and Patty Pimmel will be the fight to make after that based on other events. But that's a different story. Let us know down below who you got in UFC 325 if there are any bets that you were looking to make for this fight card. You're going to see a whole lot of advertising for those bets during the card. So you know what? We're going to get out of those. You're going to see a whole lot of poly market and everything else. But go ahead and let us know down below who you got, and we'll see you all again next time.